High school golf allowed me that opportunity to shoot under par and be comfortable going into the last hole and being 2 under. It gave me the confidence to know, like, I can win. And it gives you the experience of being on the 16th, 17th, 18th hole and knowing that these putts and these shots are really for something bigger than yourself. And so I think having that experience is the most valuable part about high school golf. So I think it's more than just from a competitive standpoint.
Welcome to the High School Golf Podcast. Today we're super excited to have Ava Ray on. We're going to talk to Ava today about being a good teammate, about how to bring out the best in your teammates, yet be super competitive in this individual sport. So everybody's going to get a little something from this podcast, and we can't wait. I'm going to hand it over to Ted to introduce Ava and then go from there.
Hey, Ava, great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We had the pleasure of coaching you for your final 2 seasons of high school golf, and in particular your senior season. Finished the year with a 75.6 average. You tied the 18-hole Franklin High School girls record with a 67 at the Mid-State Conference tournament. You shot a school record 71 in the IHSAA sectional. That particular season, you were an 11-time medalist, 5-time 18-hole winner. You finished 3rd in the state. You were named to the All-State team that season and obviously made All-Conference, All-County, and you were the Daily Journal Player of the Year. But you went on to the University of Indianapolis, and you've had a great collegiate career. I'm going to kind of let you tell our listeners what the highlights of your college career have been up to this point.
My freshman and junior year, I was All-Conference. My sophomore year, I was a national champion on the team side. This past year, I just placed top 10 at the national championship with scores of, I believe, 75, 69, 67, something along those lines. And then because I placed top 10, I was also an honorable mention All-American. I just won my second tournament this past fall. And yeah, I'm looking to finish it well in the spring.
A question that I always am curious as a coach, and we had Annabelle Pancake on earlier in the fall. She talked a lot about her high school golf and how it had prepared her for college golf. This is something we really haven't talked to you about as your former high school coaches, but I'd be curious just for you to kind of tell us, did you feel that high school golf did or did not prepare you for college golf?
Yeah, I think a high school golf is the first picture of what being on a team looks like, I guess, in a very individual sport. It also gives you a look at the kind of format that you play, how you have to qualify sometimes against teammates in order to be able to play at tournaments. So I think it's kind of the first real picture of what college golf is like.
When you look back at that season, and pretty incredible, really, when you look at your season average and you kind of think about how the season started. Your first couple of tournaments were rough, and you made some changes with your swing coach early in the season that year, and obviously you went on and you had a phenomenal finish to your high school career. I got to feel like that definitely opened some doors up for you as it relates to college golf. And I always kind of shake my head when I hear players say they can't see the value of high school golf in terms of how it can impact their college career. But why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like as much as you can say maybe high school golf doesn't give value maybe from a golf standpoint, maybe it's shorter yardages or easier tournaments, I feel like it can give such an advantage from a mental standpoint. I had never won a tournament. I never shot under par outside of playing high school golf, but high school golf allowed me that opportunity to shoot under par and be comfortable going into the last hole and being 2 under. It gave me the confidence to know, like, I can win. And it gives you the experience of being on the 16th, 17th, 18th hole and knowing that these putts and these shots are really for something bigger than yourself. And so I think having that experience is the most valuable part about high school golf. So I think it's more than just from a competitive standpoint.
Another thing, and I think it's kind of interesting about golf is and you kind of alluded to it in the first part of your remarks, but it's really the only sport out there where you can be a leader on a team, you can be an outstanding individual, and you could be maybe playing on a team that is not really competitive. That wasn't necessarily the case with you, but that certainly happens to a lot of players. But, how hard is it when you know that you are the best player, you're the captain, you're the leader, you don't need those other teammates to help you advance in a tournament, and I mean that could be certainly true even at the collegiate level. But I think that's what made you really unique. Not be that selfish person and be someone who finds the time to mix it up with the teammates.
Yeah. I don't know, for me, I guess it was always just so fun to have a group of people that we were all working towards the same common goal, regardless of what level or um, I guess skill level, regardless. It was really nice to be able to have people that were helping me get better, because even if maybe I was the best player overall, there could be someone that's better at putting than me. And we can have putting contests and I can get better at putting. Maybe there's someone that hits it straighter than me and can beat me if we play from the front tees. Although maybe overall I was a better player, I could still learn things from everyone. And I feel like it holds you accountable too. Something that I experience now in college golf is when I'm telling my younger teammates, like, come on, we have to have a good attitude. We have to keep pushing. You have to stay competitive. You don't know what's going on out there. That makes me hold myself accountable as well to I have to have a good attitude. If I'm going to tell everybody else that they need to work hard and stay focused, then I better be doing the best job at that to show them that that they need to hold themselves to that as well.
That was one thing, Ava, that you were so good at. Even though you may not have had the round that you wanted, you encouraged other players on the team. That is one thing that I think set Ava apart from a lot of other players we see. It's a natural leadership quality that you have. How did it change for you when you went to college and you had to be a freshman again, which go from being the leader on the team and in high school back to being a freshman on a team that you're kind of learning that dynamic? How was that experience for you?
I mean, overall, I think it was kind of the same idea of like, I just felt so blessed to be with a group of people that, we're all pushing each other towards that same goal. Because again, at the end of the day, like I said, yeah, other people might be better than me at certain aspects or even overall, but I can still compete with them on these little aspects and I can still push myself. And I know, yeah, maybe my putting's unconventional, but I'm a better putter than you. But you're going to teach me how to do this, and I'm going to teach you how to do that, and like growing together. And I think it's kind of just a respect thing as well. Like, I think when you work really hard, regardless of your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, everyone can respect how hard of a worker you are. And I think that regardless, still, you can be a leader just by being an example in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be seniority. It's easier with seniority, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
When I think of Ava Ray, honestly, this is the greatest compliment that I feel like I can give you. Extremely resilient. People who listen to this podcast know how difficult this game is. They know that the bad days are going to far outweigh the good days. And like I say, I mean, you certainly, for everything that you accomplished, you did have some bad days. Talk a little bit about how you deal with that and how you don't let the frustration get to a point where it honestly can affect long-term how you're able to play.
Yeah. Well, I guess like a really great example that I can give is the year that we won the national championship. That spring, I was not playing well. Like, I was qualifying terribly when I went to the tournaments. I just didn't feel like myself. I wasn't making putts. I wasn't hitting greens. And I think two things really, really helped me get through that. One being to stick to my process. If I am putting 100% effort and I am controlling everything that I can control, then there's nothing that can change. Everyone's going to have a bad day. Like, at some point, you're going to play bad or hit a bad shot. Something's going to not go according to plan. So being able to, like, get up on the tee box, pick my club, have confidence in that swing, and do my absolute best to hit it on the green, just trying to stick to the little things, I think really, really helps me get through those types of days. And then the other, I think, is I'm a really big believer in everything happens for a reason. And maybe me playing bad that day is going to prepare me for something that's going to happen down the line. And I really, really believe that the reason that I played as poorly as I did at the beginning of the spring, my sophomore year, was to force me to work harder. That way, a couple months later, when I'm at the national championship and I have that 3-footer to send my team into the semifinals, I make it because I had worked so hard because I wanted to qualify so badly. So I feel like understanding that the bad days are good because they teach you so much. I feel like, having, kind of like Crystal said, that different perspective, it really helps me.
What would you tell your younger self? I think to when I was a senior in college, how different of a player I was in high school. And I just think even now, I'm like, if I had only known, or if I would obviously only had that perspective in high school, which you can't force it. You can't force the,
Yeah.
mental maturity. But what do you think you would either tell yourself or tell another young girl in high school? What advice would you give younger Ava?
Yeah, I think if I could pick any piece of advice, I think it would. And like so many people tell you, just have fun, just have fun. And it's like, whatever. I'm not having fun. Like it's not fun to play bad, but it is like knowing that today is just a round of golf. And in 3 years, you're going to be playing more golf. And I don't even remember some of the rounds that Ted's talking about because like I just like I've played so much golf since then. So truly trying to be in the moment and have fun and understand that like everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has bad days. Like this past fall season, I was playing so well. I finished first, 10th, and fourth at our first 3 tournaments. The tournament I finished 10th at, there was the number 1, number 2, and number 1, number 3, and number 4 ranked teams in the country. And I finished top 10 and felt like I didn't play well. And then we turned around and went to the next tournament. And I played so bad. I was joking with one of my teammates, like, I'm on my path to breaking 90. Like, I have not even shot in the 80s in months. And all of a sudden, like, I'm just playing terrible. And, like, I think high school Ava would have had the biggest meltdown of her entire life. But college Ava was able to, like, just be laughing and be like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I know it's going to be fine and I'm going to play better next round, but I can't control it. Like, all I can do is keep going. So,
Well, I think
yeah.
you just confirmed something that I've always said, Ava, that all good players have short memories.
It's hard to do in high school. And I think no matter how much we tell a high school player, this doesn't matter. Not to downplay what they're going through or like their emotions. We don't want to downplay it, but at the same time, I think you can attest like it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of life. Meaning you're going to get through it. You're going to work harder. There's a lot more golf to be played. So if you shoot an 89 or shoot in the 80s or whatever it is, doesn't really matter. But you're going to get through it. And I think that's a hard perspective.
It feels so big at the time. And I remember that's what was so heavy about high school is it feels like, well, this coach is going to see this. Well, this is going to prohibit me from going to this school. Well, this is going to like drop my rankings and this and this and this. And so it all feels so heavy. And it's like, once I just get to college, then I can enjoy it. But if a coach looks at your score and they see, 85, they see 89, they're not going to define you by that 89. They know that everyone has bad days, and you don't want to go play for a coach that wouldn't be okay with you having a bad round every now and again, because that's probably not the program that you want to be a part of. Like, you want to be a part of a program where a coach thinks you're way more than your golf score and you're all of this potential. And so, like, when you play bad, not feeling so embarrassed by that and more just like, yeah, it happens to everyone because it does.
Absolutely. That's great advice. A lot of players can learn from that. And this is why you were such a great leader. You were able to, again, be competitive, have that self-drive, yet kind of meet all of your teammates where they were at and help them along the way and create a lot of fun experiences for them as well. So we really appreciate your insight. I know this is going to be super helpful for a lot of players and parents, and I appreciate everything that you pass along, all your great knowledge and advice.
I agree with all that, Crystal. And Ava, I want to personally tell you this. I mean, we've coached 11 different teams here at Franklin High School. And some years we've not had captains. Many years we've had captains. And you are number one on our list as it relates to the best captain that we had. And that doesn't come from all the things that you accomplished as a player. It comes from how you treated teammates and how you invested yourself in the other girls on the team and the example that you set. And I'm proud of you, and I always look forward to watching your successes. And one of the things that people might not know about Ava Ray is that she actually graduated from college in 3 years, and she's elected to go back a fourth year and utilize that last year of eligibility for the University of Indianapolis. And congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Are you going to miss playing golf every day?
I said at the beginning of the year, no. Like, I was like, I'm so excited to be done and not have the responsibility. But as the end grows closer, I am 100% going to miss being a part of a team, I think. The golf has been really hard work, but I am going to be devastated to leave my teammates and my coaches because they are the best people ever. So I guess to any high school golfer that's watching this that doesn't know if they want to play or not, I would highly, highly, highly recommend giving it a try. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it, but the best thing that can happen is that you will meet your best friends. You will have some of the greatest experiences of your life. You will get to travel to places that you would have never been before, play golf courses that you would have never played, and yeah, have the best time of your life. I have enjoyed it so much. Now I get to put national champion on my resume and have these awesome trophies in my room, and it would have never happened if I wouldn't have thought I was good enough. And I guess if I didn't play that senior year of high school, it would have never happened.
Ava, you're the best. We appreciate it, and we can't wait to see what the spring holds for you. Ted, great stuff from Ava. Obviously, we thoroughly enjoyed coaching her, and she's a very successful college player. Here's the challenge that I think we run into with certain teams, and a lot of high school coaches do, because we can't recruit players. Basically, whoever we have on the team are those local players that go to the school. So there may be some years that you don't have natural leaders, or maybe your players are not in a position to lead yet. Obviously, we're talking about teenagers, so they don't always have that natural leading ability. How can we create that leadership culture? How can we instill some of those leadership qualities in our young players?
Yes, and I think we also have a perspective, Crystal, where we're involved in a business and the profession of golf, and we hire assistants and other people to work in the shop. So we're, in a sense, trying to cultivate leaders in the workplace as well. And I think that, when you're looking at a team and you're a coach, a player can be a leader and not necessarily be a captain. And we have had teams that we have not specifically named a captain or had a captain. And there's a lot of tools that are out there online, books that you can read as a coach to help you understand how to develop leaders. I just happened to last spring, I found this on the Janssen Sports Leadership Center website, and there are 6 critical qualities of the world's best captains that they defined. And they were, in no particular order, the best captains are the hardest workers. The best captains encourage their teammates. The best captains are honest and trustworthy. The best captains respect others. The best captains care passionately, and the best captains are relentlessly competitive and compelled to win. And when I look at the teams that we've coached and some of the captains that we've had obviously different personalities in players, and we've had a really good player, a great player, and someone like Damon Dickey, who I always felt like led by example. Damon was not a real vocal person, surrounded by 3 other seniors on the team that were his peers, kids that he had grown up with. He maybe didn't find it that easy to lead that group of guys that had been his friends for all those years. So he kind of took the approach that he led by example, and he really did lift the practice perspective that the other players had on the team, the commitment I feel like that they gave to get to be better players. I roomed with a guy in college who majored in industrial management and industrial engineering at Purdue, and he was Phi Beta Kappa, and he had a perfect GPA. And I always joked and said that he probably helped raise my GPA by half a point because of all the times that I studied when I felt guilty because he was studying. And sometimes that's what leaders do. That's how they lift people up. And we had a circumstance with the last boys team that we had last spring in 2025, where we had Reed Davidson, who was our only senior. Reed was kind of a quiet kid as well. He was a good player, but he was unselfish. He really cared about the younger teammates, and he promoted camaraderie. The thing was interesting with a player like Reed. Honestly, the number one spot was his. We've done that in the past. We've had one senior that's been a pretty good player. We've just entitled him, put him in that role. And, he elected to play number two and let a sophomore, Matthew Ferguson, play number one in front of him because, in Reed's words, Matthew deserves to be the number one player. He'd been shooting the scores. And I felt like that made a tremendous statement to the rest of the team. I mean, you talk about developing immediate credibility when a senior would take a step back and say, no, this guy deserves to play number one because he's shooting the scores. And I just felt like it really it raised the tide, so to speak, with the rest of the guys on the team. And because of how Reed interacted with a couple of other sophomores, Abe Botkin shot 72 in the sectional. Riley McNicholas shot 74 in the regional. Not sure we could ever see that we would have gotten that kind of performance out of those guys at the beginning of the season, but I think a lot of it could be attributed to the influence that our senior had on those guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, you go through those 6 qualities of good leaders, and I think, you're going to see players on your team that maybe have 2 or 3 of those qualities, but maybe they have a few of those that they need to work on. And I think that's important in building these high school players, setting your expectations, going over these leadership qualities with them. And when you see them falling in one of these areas or maybe not living up where you think they could, is that kind of leaves the room for those conversations, those coach-player conversations, for us to say, hey, you're really good in this area. I think if you could improve in this area, your game's going to improve, and obviously it's going to make you just improve and help everything down the road, not just in your golf game, but in your personal life as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets back to, kind of a basic fundamental where you just have to understand that people are watching you and your actions will earn their trust. And you want to be humble in your own successes, and you want to show compassion to other teammates who are going to struggle. And I mean, that's kind of a basic fundamental aspect of behavior when you're in the workplace. The older you get, I can't tell you how many times have we told teams or players, look, high school golf is basically just a warm-up or a forerunner for what you're going to encounter when you get into college, when you decide to get married and have a family, and when you go into the workplace and you have to be around others. Maybe some people that you don't have anything in common with, or that you might not even really enjoy being around, but you have to function with them and work effectively to be able to produce whatever your employer wants to see the end product be. That's what high school golf or any high school sport is all about. And I guess what I would say to any coach is, I think you need to, particularly when your players come in as freshmen, sophomores, and they're younger, you need to kind of lay the foundation for what acceptable behavior traits will be. And you do need to try to communicate the positive and the things that need to be improved upon with the player. And hopefully, and we've seen this, as players get older, they understand better. It makes more sense to them. And they wind up, really improving who they are and how they play.
I think the important part is laying the groundwork early. So with these teenagers, you're going to find yourself having to repeat yourself, and you are going to have to lay this groundwork before the season starts, ideally. And that's a big part of developing the coach-player relationship with these kids and developing this team culture, is having these player meetings or team meetings prior to when the season starts, laying the groundwork, communicating with the parents and the players on what our expectations are during the season. coaching is not just an 8-week job for the high school girls season or not just a 12-week job for the boys season. It's really year-round and how you're communicating and laying the groundwork with these players.
Yeah, and I think, and we've had podcasts that we've done on communication and what's the effective way to really get your message across to today's player, particularly when you're a generation or two removed from where they are. And, some of my frustration is always that I want to try to be honest with people, particularly my players. And sometimes honesty can be construed to be negativity. So as a coach, you kind of have to understand, okay, where's the line? How far can I actually go with honesty before it crosses over and becomes negativity? And then, you have players that line can vacillate either direction for. We have had a lot of really good kids that want to know, okay, coach, what can I do to be better? How can I be a better person? What are the things I need to work on? And then on the other hand, you'll run into an occasional player who really is not going to accept any feedback that you give them. There's really nothing that you can say as a coach that is going to help them succeed in all the things that that they're going to have to be better at as they move forward in life. And those are probably the most frustrating situations that you get into as a coach. Fortunately, we don't have very many of those.
Yeah, no, that's probably every program and every coach is going to run into that. One underlying thing, when we talked to Ava Ray and we talked to Annabelle Pancake in a podcast that we previously did, one of the things that just sticks out to me with these young ladies is that when they had better players around them, they didn't see those players as a threat. They saw them as, hey, these players are going to raise my standards and help me get better. And I think even as a female in the profession, that's something that personally I find helps young ladies succeed so much better, is that don't see other young ladies as a threat. Find ways to let them drive you and get better. And Ava and Annabelle are just key examples of that. And the more that we can enforce that, parents, coaches, players, young ladies, if you can understand that having people around you that are better than you is going to only make you better and not be a threat, I think that's something that needs to be continued to be communicated with our young ladies. So, Ted, to kind of wrap this up, hopefully coaches, players, parents can get something from this. One point here or there. We really enjoyed having Ava Ray on the podcast. If you need to get in touch with me, you can shoot me an email at crystal@thelegendsgolfclub.com.
Ted Bishop, 38 PGA at AOL.com.
And this is the High School Golf Podcast. Send us your comments, your feedback, and any further podcast ideas. We would love to hear from you and look forward to our next one.